What were the dumbest lies you believed when you were a kid? When I was a child, I got upset after a button came off of my shirt. My mother told me not to worry and that if I placed the button under a rock in the yard, the button fairy would replace it with a quarter. I believed it, and to my mother's dismay, she discovered I had pulled the buttons off of every shirt in my closet. To this day, 40 years later, shirt buttons can still be found under random rocks in my parents' backyard. What happened when you learned about the tooth fairy? Not up, but my mom came into the room in black pants, black jacket, and a black hat. She came over to my bed before I was actually asleep and lifted my head up to put the dollar under. I didn't recognize her, so I thought I was going to get my throat slit or something if the person realized I was awake. OHNO. Your mother should have probably seen that one coming, bless her. I was 7 years old. One of my teachers wanted us to write a letter to a family member or friend or someone. I wrote the letter. Got the envelope. Got the stamp. My mom had worked at the county jail at the time and she suggested I write one of the inmates who never got mail. So I did. I wrote something along the lines of "I'm sorry you're arrested but I hope you get out." I even signed it with my 7-year-old signature. While I was writing the letter my mom had left to get to the store. I asked my older brother what our address was because I needed to put a return address. He said, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. 20500. For those that don't know, that's the address to the White House. I wrote it on the letter and put it with the mail my mom was sending out. Mind you, I grew up in Michigan and never left the state, but I wasn't smart. Years later I went to pick my mom up from work and one of the COs called me Mr. President and I asked why he said that. He mentioned the letter I wrote years prior and how it was a joke in the jail anytime my mom mentioned me. This is one of the funniest stories I've ever read in my life. I'm just imagining some random inmate opening a letter and shaky 7-year-old kid writing "I'm sorry you're arrested but I hope you get out." He looks at the envelope and it's from the White House. He spent several days wondering who the hell wrote that. You made me cry with laughter. The president's toddler wrote it? When my sister and I were kids, our mom lied and told us that she was a Grammy-nominated and winning singer. She said that all of the trophies were in our attic, knowing that neither of us would ever go in and check for them. My sister and I bragged to all of our friends about it for years, only to discover that our mom isn't a very good singer at all. We've held this lie over her head for nearly 20 years now, so this past Christmas, we gifted her with a fake Grammy that has her name engraved and her favorite music category citing her as the winner of it. She laughed until she cried. Sometimes when we asked for McDonald's my dad would say no but turn in anyway and say the car was doing it by itself. I believed him every time and thought the car was just my homie. My parents convinced us that the person knocking on our door on weekend nights when we were asleep was our Uncle Shiloh stopping to say hello. We don't have an Uncle Shiloh. It was the pizza guy. When I was a kid my dad told me it cost 25 cents to change the radio station to keep me from fucking with the radio in his car. I believed that until I was 14. Don't give strange ideas to some radio or TV broadcaster. My dad told me that the reason why police officers spend so much time at donut shops is because the shop owners actually need them there to shoot the holes in the pastries to provide them with the classic donut shape. I found out this was a lie when my dad caught me trying to get behind the counter at Dunkin' Donuts one time because I wanted to see the shooting. I was told by my dad, when I was around 8 to 9, that the people at the sewerage plant have been examining your poop, and need you to eat more fiber. Edit, wrong age. Along the same lines, my parents told me that flushing anything but toilet paper, pee and poop could get me arrested. If you flush something like paper towel, they can track it back to the exact house. Eating too much sugar will glue my ass cheeks together. Thanks, Mom. One time when I was 5 to 6 I asked my brother how French fries were made and he told me, they inject mashed potatoes into the skins of the fries with a syringe. I believed that until I saw my mom cooking home fries for breakfast one morning when I was 8. My grandmother told me that pinching gave cancer. I got pinched once at recess and yelled at the person because I thought they were going to give me cancer. My mother told me basically everything she did not want me to have caused cancer. Salt-cancer. Maraschino cherries, cancer. Anything with any sort of food coloring in it, cancer. Soda, Cancer. Spending too much time on TV/computer/video games, cancer. Now pinching fell under things she didn't physically want me doing. Those didn't give you cancer, they gave you blood clots. My mom rented A Never-Ending Story and Dad told me if I tried to watch it I'd have to sit there forever because it never ended. I remember being thankful for my dad's warning and wondering why mom would do that to me. What I'm learning from this thread is that dads and brothers are fucking assholes lol. The absolute truth, but also, I have a lighter story about my granddad who convinced my mom all the 4th of July fireworks were for her since it was her birthday too. Aw, that's sweet. I have a cousin who didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so I started taking her to the Canada Day parade since it was on her birthday and told her all these people got together because they cared about her. It's small things, but if it can help a kid, why not? My dad told me he didn't have a middle name because his parents couldn't afford one. I believed this for a shockingly long time. I had no reason to doubt him and I knew his family was poor. The button on your armrest on airplanes is the eject button. I found out it reclines your seat embarrassingly late. When I was a kid my dad always told me not to touch it because it was an emergency button. One time when I was like 5 we were flying to visit family and he fell asleep so I pressed it a bunch because I was curious. Nothing happened and I fell asleep thinking it must be broken. I woke up in a stroller with my parents upset because the plane had to make an emergency landing and I started crying because I thought it was my fault. This reminds me of when my mean ex-stepfather who was big, terrifying and cruel told me to never turn the water on outside, the one that you connect a hose to. My friend across the street, we were like 5, needed water to make mud pies and I accidentally dripped some water onto the cement. I knew he would see it if he got home from work before it dried up. I started crying so hard and right then it started to rain. I started praying and thanking GD for helping me out of that one and promised to never turn on the water again. So you decided to say fuck it and nope out of the plane, then got pissed when you leaned back 2 degrees instead? Leaned back 2 degrees well. Someone flies first class. The rumble stripes on the side of the road are there to help people who are blind drive. When I was 6 my parents told me that when you flush from an airplane toilet, the waste gets dumped mid-air into the ocean. I believed that and told all my friends. Parents then told me they were joking and I became the class fool. See, I thought that as a kid. Not because anyone told me, but in my child mind it made sense. As a result, I was terrified to use a plane bathroom. In the late 90s, I was on a plane with my mom and I needed to go, but refused. Stewardess said that, if I went, I could sit with the pilot for the rest of the flight. I still refused. Now I'm kicking myself cause that's a chance I'd never get again. I was scared that thing could suck your guts out through your ass lol. My older brother pranked me once. I had watched a kids' TV show, I think it was The Electric Company, that featured a guest star who was a tap dancer. My brother convinced me that tap dancers made their tapping sounds, not with their feet, but with their mouths. I spent the next several weeks trying to tap dance with my mouth noises before my mom made me quit. I'm surprised she lasted that long tbh. My 5-year-old son is currently on a death metal voice kick. While I generally like metal, and it's kind of adorable, I'm going to get sick of him screaming at the top of his lungs really quick. You can only be yelled at Cheerios and milk please so many times. I now want to see an episode of Death Metal Sesame Street. CISFO grave R iota C cedilla OO grave KIETHAT apostrophe SGO tilde ODE iota NO tilde UGHFORME. There was an autistic girl at my daughter's school, all special needs, who was almost completely non-vocal, but holy shit could she growl. Black, death, animal noises, she could do it all. She could very easily front the best metal bands on the planet, and by the gods I hope she does one day. I would buy all of it. That the draining sound of the water in the bathtub was a monster that would suck you in as well. A lie made to get me out of the bath. I stuck my finger down the plug hole thinking the swirling vortex it made would spin me around like some miniature tornado. Yeah. The fireman who cut me out of the bath didn't laugh either. Okay, but did you spin? I did. Not. Got a lovely scar for my troubles though. So win-win I guess. That guacamole was ground up guacamoles. Dads are great lol. Customers will ask me what the difference is between pork sausage and Italian sausage. I tell them one is made with pork, and the other with Italians. I said this to one customer and his kid went wide-eyed with horror. It was hilarious. I believe the crust in the bread had all the vitamins and the center parts were empty calories. The ice cream van played music to let everyone know he was out of ice cream. That the hazard button in a car would blow the car up. Holy shit, I'm not the only one. It's such a scary symbol for a kid, only to find out it just makes the lights blink lol. My mom told me this, so I just pressed the button to spite her. I'm sorry, honey, you need to do homework tonight instead of going to Joey's sleepover, oh yeah? Blows up car doesn't blow up. Parent who told the lie in the first place takes note, little Timmy will murder you for the slightest of inconveniences even at the cost of his own life. Interesting. Similar. I was told the button to change the shifter would cause the car to explode and our seats to be ejected. When I was a kid I asked my dad if reading enough books really could give you telekinesis. Matilda, he said yes. I spent many years after that thinking I just wasn't doing enough, smiley face. A good way to get your kids to read, I guess. My mom used to tell me birds have wings and can fly because they eat a lot of fruits and veggies. I wanted to fly, instead just ended up with healthy eating habits. She Pavloved me real good. That if you die in your dream, you die in real life. I believe that girls pooped and peed out of their butthole. When I was 16, I asked my older sister, when you go pee, how do you keep the turds from sliding right out at the same time? 16. Yet another child left behind. I believe the same. Only because my mom sat down to pee, so I assumed it came from her butt since I knew girls don't have wieners. I had an argument with my friend about this in front of his mom. She must have thought I was a sad, sheltered little boy. It was really hard to imagine having two holes below as a kid. I imagine it as two buttholes or a perfect hollow circle. Ah yes, the cloaca. I was in on this lie between my mom and younger sister. My sister was about 5 years old at the time, and my mom convinced her that Benadryl was truth serum. My mom would threaten to give it to my sister if she knew she was lying. It was so hilarious, but my sister seriously believed it and would get upset. I was told your ears turn red when you lie. Hard to get away with stuff when you look like the Hear No Evil monkey. My mom used to sing some kind of rhyme like this: little finger makes you laugh, while wiggling her index finger in front of me. The idea was that if I laughed it was because I was lying and she would treat it as a 100% scientific proof, even though it made me laugh hysterically every single time. Also, it was an angry laugh, because I hated so much that it made me laugh even though I was telling the truth about 90% of the time. If you swallowed the black watermelon seeds, a watermelon would grow in your belly. If you swallow gum, it would take 7 years for it to come out. Yeah, that Rugrats episode didn't help much with not believing that lie either. You know how Barbie feet are on tippy toes so they are shaped to fit into a high heel shoe? Well, when I was a kid, I thought that when girls grew up into women that their feet would be shaped like that. Despite the fact that I lived in a house with 4 grown women, none of whom had Barbie feet. My mom told me my birthmark was a coffee stain from when she accidentally spilled coffee on me as a baby. I believed it till I was like 11. That sounds so believable. Walt Disney invented color. Watching a black and white show, I thought everyone from the 50s and lower had lived in black and white. I asked my father who invented color. Dad looked at me dead serious and said Walt Disney. I believed it far too long. I used to work as a reenactor at an 1800s village museum. I would go greet the kids at the school bus in my full outfit and give them some context, including holding up black and white photos of the times, before we went into the buildings. One time in a particularly young group, a little girl raised her hand and asked, when we go inside, will it be in color or is it still black and white in there? I love this little insight into how a child's mind works. My time to shine. When I was a little kid, I went with my mom to take my dog to the vet for a checkup. I asked her if my dog's doctor would be a dog. Lol. No. That only happens when you go to the doctor. My granddad would tell me that the buttons/switches to turn on the interior lights in his car were actually buttons for ejector seats. I would be scared to go anywhere near them in case I accidentally yeeted myself out of his Ford Focus. He was a funny dude. As a kid I had a strangulated hernia, which left me with one testicle. My dad told me if I ever had kids they would be all boys or all girls cause each testicle is for each sex. Believed it for years. I'm wondering if your dad actually believes that. My dad won't drink water because he says it rests your stomach. So, I used to joke that I didn't want to work out because I only had a certain amount of heartbeats and didn't want to use them all up working out. It was funny till I found out people believe this. Some even make it to the upper echelons of politics. Like, not just tap water, but won't drink water at all? If so, what does he survive on? Soda and beer and Gatorade or? Soda, beer, orange juice. He's extremely diabetic and I'm surprised he's not dead. Does he not have any idea why he's diabetic? Stomach rust. He needs to smoke some cigarettes. The smoke suffocates the bacteria in your stomach. HR should drink salt water to soak up all the water. My sister told me that if you count all the stones of Stonehenge you will die. I still don't know how many stones there are in Stonehenge. Edit, I just called and told this to my sister. And she just laughed for about 2 minutes. I'll count them for you. There are. I once thought academic scholarships were only given to dumb students so that some of them could still attend college. I even told my older brother that he was so stupid, he had to get scholarships to go to college. He went to the Ivy League. Man, I'm worried for whoever told you that. That women's period stop in water to avoid sharks smelling it. LMFAO what? It's an evolutionary adaptation. The female body has ways to shut that whole thing down. If it's a legitimate shark attack, that is. That our entire house was covered by cork-sized security cameras and that my parents could see my every move. My kid is convinced herself of the same thing and always randomly asks, "What am I doing right now?" From across the house. My mom convinced us she had eyes in the back of her head. She could tell us what we were doing in the living room while working in the kitchen facing away from us. We'd test it even further by doing the "how many fingers am I holding up?" test and she'd get it right every time. So all little kid evidence concluded that mom did in fact have eyes in the back of her head. It wasn't until I was much older that I randomly noticed the crystal clear reflection in the kitchen window my mom could always see. My father was a fish taxidermist and had a bunch of glass eyes for them. He told us he had eyes in the back of his head and lifted his hair to show us. Also, I ate a dog biscuit one time, one of those that humans can eat too, and he drew a red dot right on my tailbone when I was sleeping and told me I was going to turn into a dog. Traumatized me for 8 years. In case you still get the cravings, by law, all pet food/treats have to be safe for human consumption in the event of a child or elderly person, or I guess anyone else, eating them whether accidentally or otherwise. In the US anyways, can't vouch for other countries. Edited for some links for the perusal of those interested. Link 1, link 2. Also, just because it's the law doesn't mean every piece of pet food is guaranteed to be safe. Don't go eating a bunch of pet food and come after me if you get sick. Did they tell you that? Dad told us his dried apricots were monkey ears so we wouldn't eat them. This isn't a lie, but when I was a kid I had no idea how turn signals worked and just thought the cars always knew exactly where we were going. I didn't realize they turned off automatically when the steering wheel is turned back straight. I just thought all adults had to be really coordinated to disengage them while executing the turn. This made me really nervous about learning to drive. Yes, I remember trying to catch my dad turning it off, but I never did, so I bragged to friends that my dad is really fast etc. until a friend's brother told me the truth. My mom told me while I was helping mix some batter or something, that if I changed from mixing clockwise to counterclockwise the ingredients would unmixed. I believed this for way too long and still only mix clockwise. One time I was at my dad's, parents separated, and him and a friend were hanging outside sipping beers and smoking cigarettes while I was decapitating dandelions with my sweet-ass plastic ninja sword. My dad never let me have soda when I was a kid. His friend left and my dad went inside to do dishes. I saw a 7-Up can on the deck table and sprinted towards it and took a huge swig. Turns out they had been asking and putting their cig butts in there. I run inside and throw up and my dad goes, "What happened, what happened?" I lied and said nothing, but he figured it out. So, he told me all the soda he buys tastes like that even if they are unopened. I believed him for a few years till I was like 9. Sipping beers, damn dude. That's so metal. Kojobu middle. 11 mo. Ago. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.